Sir, tell us something about your being executive president.
I took up the position as executive president last year, March 2020, and I've been serving as the president for more than a year now. And few months back, the Student Congress with also had conversations and a lot of discussions with the school administration, especially in our Student Affairs Office. And the Student Congress passed a resolution stating that they see the election as somewhat untimely in this extraordinary time wherein we are experiencing a pandemic. And then they decided to have an interim government. So next year, we won't be having an election this year because the positions for the next year's SSG will be through an interim government. So basically, it will just be voluntary basis among the current elected officers right now. And also, on my part, I'm ginpamangkot mo ko sa amon DSA if willing ka pa, and personally nag-yes man ko, and I committed to taking up the responsibility once again. So I'm about to become the SSG for another year, sir.
Interesting, because that's the first time
Yes, sir.
I've heard of such an arrangement. So it's an interim arrangement, but it would depend on the current set of officers or on the individual officers if he or she wants to continue serving.
Yes, sir.
In a way, do Marcos, no? Except nga you were forced by
yes,
a pandemic.
Yes, sir.
Why do you love serving your fellow students?
Actually, sir, my student leadership career started with the thought nga, although ang iban were guilty, man nga student leaders nga, kung student leader ka, si mo spotlight, gusto mo ka sa tunga, kung may mga event, ayaw ka permi sa stage, wala kaya gapong ko sa bleacher, kaya kaya sa tunga. Daw, amo na siyang connotation, ang akon nga na-perceive in my elementary days, kay back then nga do Christmas program, amo na nabala. But then, it changed in senior high school because I also served governor of the UM Strand for 2 years. And dito ko na-realize nga, first time ko nag-handle budget, dako nga kwarta nga, minimal intervention na sa teachers, although may advisor ka, pero minimal ang guidance. Tapos dito ko na-realize nga, kung leader ka, you have so much on your hands. Kag you must be accountable and accountable to your decision. So dito ko na-realize nga, hindi siya basta-basta. And doon nag-develop na nag-isya sistema ko siya, sir, nga every year dapat may padlaganan ko nga posisyon to ka muna. Actually, gani dapat last year hindi ko magpadlagan president, dapat vice president lang. Pero hindi makastand ang party without a president. Isa ako nga political party, wala gid mag-ako for the presidency. And so wala ko choice, so yung pilit ko nila nga hindi ka pwede mag-vice president lang, kaya hindi ka gapon kapadlagan kung wala kita president. So, there must be someone who would man up and take and become the standard bearer. And so, I did, sir.
Man up.
Yes, sir.
Man up. Basi criticize ka sa mga politically correct, ang mga woke bala?
Oh, sir.
Because you use the term man up.
Actually, sir, kay sa, well, through to all mga sir nga mga student government, grabe gid sir ang pressure and ang burden maghambal ka nga student leader kalabi na gid sa college level. So even back in my first year sa college, I was just an associate justice in the judiciary branch, and being on the lower position, nakita ko gid ang struggle sa mga elected officers, most especially by the president. And so nakambali ko nga hindi siya basta-basta, and for you to decide nga you will become a president, dapat balaan mo kung anong pangatabangon mo, and you must know the consequences kag ang future mo nga mga ulubrahon.
Anong yung mga course?
I'm BS Mass Communication, sir. 3rd year.
Okay. So, kagid.
Yes, sir.
Interesting. Like I pointed out a while ago, using terms like man up.
Okay.
No. Fine with me, no?
Okay.
Man up, be like a man, what else? So, kung may ara na sa politically correct way of saying things. Like, you don't say chairman.
Yes.
You should say
gender
chairperson.
neutral. Yes, sir.
Although I want to discuss that, no?
Okay.
Hindi pwedeng subong gani may ibang feminists. Hindi pwede dapat tawag women. Di ba? Ang human ko hindi dapat human because there's man in the word.
Yes, sir.
Ang iban gusto nila you mean why ang ibutang. How do you find that as a mass comm student? Is that absurd or do you agree with it?
Since sa household binamon, sir, I also have an older sister, and she herself are somewhat advocating a lot of feministic feminism movements, and one of which one time she talked about. I was having my foreign language class, and and the course was Spanish, and then I was like preparing for an exam, and then she just all of a sudden opened up the topic that ang Spanish language it's very discriminating sa women kay man gid nga, for example, if you talk about a group of people tapos may isa lang ka man, dapat ang imo pronoun or adverb dapat man gid, and she's talking about that. And she also introduced me like people are now campaigning for the X, like it's the X, just like what you said, sir, the Y, the may na counterpart nga X naman ang symbol nila for general neutral. And as a mass communication student, I saw how the world is very dynamic, sir. We are all products of our time, and our principles, our beliefs, and ideals are always influenced and inspired by the current generation. And I think, sir, as a mass comm student, I am very accommodating and wala ko, sir, gamo in movements like that. Personally, sir, I'm also advocating a lot of social equality movements man on my own.
But do you think, is there a lack of facts in terms of advocacies now, or is it driven more by emotions?
Actually, like kagapon, I was a resource speaker of one of the webinars sponsored by the National Youth Commission. It's the participants of the webinar are the youth from Victorias, and my topic was about digital activism, sir, and how social media play now a really big influence in pushing forward and championing causes, especially about social justice and etc. So I think, sir, advocacies right now are driven by both facts and emotions, sir. Because I think I know a lot of advocates and volunteers who are really close friends, and aside from emotions and personal experience, they really back up their causes with statistics, with research-based facts that I think would make their claims more convincing. Na, for example, kung gapamati ka sa isa ka webinar, you might kung mag-share ang isa ka volunteers ng isa ka heartwarming story, you would really have teary eyes, pero mas convincing siya on the latter part kung backed up agad siya with scientifically proven data.
Example, I'll take an example.
Yes, sir.
Some people are claiming grabe ang oppression, exploitation of LGBTs. What research do we have in Negros Occidental that there is indeed widespread discrimination? And discrimination in what particular aspect?
Actually, sir, I'm not really knowledgeable, sir, sa mga research right now regarding LGBT, but I know I have friends man, sir, who are members of the LGBT, and luckily and fortunately, sir, wala man sila, sir, naka-experience situations wherein they've been violated because of their gender preference and orientation. So, ako, sir, I think that's an area nga wala ko pagiguro, sir, na dig deeper on the studies regarding LGBT. But makita ta mga social media nga a lot of Negrosanon are really pushing forward some reforms and may mga movements gid sila for the equal rights of the LGBTQ community.
Which makes me wonder sometimes, Charles, no? Because your generation, not only your generation, but I think even ang sa akon nga generation, I have sensed a trending, if you cannot be convinced by what they believe, ang ila impression nyo kontra ka na. Diba? I don't know if that makes for a better world, especially now nga tanan advocate sa Facebook mo. Diba? Nakakita ka lang sang baong nga may straw ang ilong. You become an environmentalist, and but you don't even know kung pila ka hektarya ang forest cover sa Negros Occidental. Do you? Exactly my point, no? Exactly my point. Ano ang population sang LGBT community sa Bacolod City alone?
Not quite sure, sir.
We are not quite sure. Diin ang unang enclave o lugar nga nagdamo ang mga agi sa Bacolod. We don't even know that. Ano ang rason nga ginadiscriminate? Diin ginadiscriminate ang LGBT sa eskwelahan, sa ulubrahan, sa simbahan, sa funeraria, din sila ginadiscriminate. What I'm trying to say is, I am zooming in on this issue because amo nang uso subong sa inyo nga mga pamatanon. And a lot of people, a lot of young ones are very eager. Dapat may equality. Dapat tanan. But the question is this community also pushing for inclusion sang iban nga hindi pareho sa ila? Halimbawa, kami nga mga lalaki, we are being called as toxic males. And they want us to be excluded. Now, ginadiscuss ko ni sa imo because you are a communication student. And you're supposed to be more knowledgeable about this. And the rule for a journalist is you don't just believe the story, you interrogate the story.
Yes,
Diba? Pasto nag-uso ang Me Too sa Amerika. Bisan sino lang may magwa, ay ako ginkuot, yaman ko, that was 21 years ago. And no one is bothering to ask for proof. Diba? Now, because I want to discuss this with you, because aside from being a young leader, you are also a communication student. And you might become a future journalist.
Yes, sir.
And that is also the problem even sa journalists. Some journalists don't bother to ask questions. They tend to believe what this joker says and ask the other one for reaction. So, ang guy, he said, she said, there's no insistence on facts.
Yes, sir.
Diba? I mean, come to think of it, sa sobra 600,000 katawo, populasyon sa Bacolod, pilang agi, tumboy, pansexual, ano pa na, subong ang mga gender?
Mga
Metrosexual, ano na, whatever.
Yes, damo,
May naluyag sa babae, may naluyag sa babae kag lalaki, may naluyag sa babae kag lalaki, pati auto. Diba? So what I'm trying to say is, this is quite interesting sa inyong generation. But I'll go back. Ang purpose of nga interview is to ask you, ikaw isa sa pila lang ka mga pamatanon sa Bacolod,
yes, sir.
nga napilian for the 84th Ayala Young Leaders
Congress.
Congress.
Sir.
Tell us something about it.
So actually, sir, there was a series of process. So they set up a website wherein you key in your details. And
No. Ang Congress, ano ni siya?
Okay. So kung wala pa ni sir pandemic, dapat sa nag-panel interview pa lang kami, dapat makadto na kami sir sa Makati and dapat ma-interview na kami to with the Ayala executives. But then we are in the middle of pandemic. So ang panel interview was made online man. And so, ari na to sa Congress, the Congress, kung ano lang, it should be days man, sir, nga trip sa Manila for them to have a lot of networking and team building activities among the youth, kag mga project pitching. But now, sir, the setup is online. Although, sir, the essence of the conference might still be the same, just like what's happening in a face-to-face setup. Pero, mas nakita naman nga, gin-prolong nila, sir, nga 1 month, yun ang duration, kay it is a combination of synchronous and asynchronous, sir. So, may mga times nga we would meet in Zoom, and then may mga synchronous sila, like mga challenges, guro, sir, or mga tasks nga obrahon namon on the comfort of our home. So, doka amo na siya, sir.
Ay, kanugon, hindi ka makapamakati, no?
Sir.
I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Subong may hapos na lang eh. Ma-speaker ko to pare sa Singapore. Ba, malakat ka, hindi. Online lang.
Online.
So, congratulations to you because you are the only student from University of Negros Occidental, Recoletos, nga nakasulod
Yes, sir.
sa Congress. What does it feel to have been chosen?
Actually, sir, the application process is very challenging. I almost took a month, gid, sir, to comply with the requirements. Kay damo gid sila like mga leadership impact of all activities. So nabudlian ko may mga requirements man nga i-process mo pa sa school. Kag pag-abot pa gid sa panel interview, 1 hour gid, sir, ang pagstorya mo sa mga executives and mga alumni. Kag they're really asking the hard questions, sir, nga mga gina-encounter usually sa mga student leaders. So actually, although confident mo ko, sir, sa mga ginpang sabat ko during the panel interviews, but given the fact nga 167 kami, sir, nga nag-interview, and half lang 80 lang ginang kwaon, do wala lagi ko, sir, nag-asa kay damo mandaan, sir, mga sagad sa iban nga regions across the country.
I don't know, ang iyong mga personal experience, what does it tell you about campus politics? Interesado pang estudyante. 2 things ang na-notice ko eh. Do they care about their elections? I don't think so. No one seems interested to run or serve. And number 2, do students care about their newspaper? Ang ila campus publication? Why na gani guro may gabasa eh. Diba? Sa una, kung ara ka sa newspaper, sikat ka. Damo ga idol sa imo, kung ara ka sa SSG, sikat-sikat ka gid. There's no question nga sikat ka. Pero kumpara sa una, nga sikat-sikat ka gid ya, nga you get all the girls, subong I don't know. What does it say, you think? What do you think? What does it say?
Actually, sir, when our school pub posted an online article regarding the deferment of the election, I was quite scared, sir, kasi bala may feedbacks, may mga comments like, ano gid ang inyo right to postpone elections, and I also consulted this thing sa amon DSA nga, so sir, we should be ready kay base may raise mga concerns, but then 2 days, 3 days passed, and the post merely got 50 reactions and a little engagement man lang, and I was waiting base bala may mag-raise man concern, pero I'm ready man to explain the decision of the SSG on our part. Pero sir, aside of those things, sir, I think in the context of the pandemic, feeling ko, sir, na-highlight man, sir, ang roles ng student leaders in the school publications. One example that I could really point out, sir, is during when the online classes gid bala, sir, started. Kay last year, sir, grabe gito, sir, ang mga gina-raise nga mga concerns ng students, kag overwhelmed gid kami to sa SSG to cater all of them. Kay syempre, hindi that's our main role. And then amo to gini nga hambal ko sa mga fellow officers ko man nga before the pandemic, we were really excited to conduct pageants, fellowship, gatherings. Kido ka, amo ginaya ang do ka thrilling as a student leader ka nga mapagabi kasi mapulaw ka mo to stage decor. But then I asked myself, diin malugar ang student leaders in the context of the pandemic, given nga this is very new to us, kag wala man kami templates or policies or guidelines nga pwede namon ma-adapt in context like this. And so I realized, sang nakita ko nga grabe gid ang mga rants, ang students really nag-rant gid sila sa social media. Tapos dito ako na ba nga
Nag-rant sila because?
nag-rant sila, sir, because there are a lot bala, sir, of things nga daw wala, hindi sila ba, sir, conforme sa online class. Like for example, the use of LMS, the collection of miscellaneous fees, so tuition. So those two things are the really big things na gin-address gid namon. And thankfully nga naka-initiate kami, sir, a student forum wherein on a single Zoom meeting we have the school administrators and the students kag naka-raise gid sila concerns personally. Kag dito ko man, sir, na-realize, working hand in hand with our school publication nga even though this is a pandemic, need man kami gyapon, sir, sang students nga kung may mga reklamo sila, wala man sila gyapon kadtuan kundi ang mga SSG officers. Same goes, sir, sa amon publication. And then I think nga dito ko na-realize nga hindi man gani importante nga bubuan mo gid sila online activities, recreational, fun, exciting. What matters most is really you focus on the things nga concerned gid sila. So when we maximized our information drive regarding school policies and updates, do dito na to nag-lesson dayon, sir, ang mga messages sa Facebook page namon. Kag nakita ko nga okay, so do amo gini ang gusto sang students is really information campaign and being a representative sang ilang mga concerns.
Have you ever been bullied in your life?
Bullied, sir? Yes, sir. Bullied about my size. Siyempre, sir,
Amo ginayang imo nga size rin sa
Oo, sir. Actually, my sister was born normal lang, sir, nga delivery. Pero ako, cesarean, gid ko kay hambas ng doctor, dako, tambok, gid ko, sir. Tapos, muna. So, pagbata pa lang dyan sa akon, sir, tambok, na ko isang gamay pa ko, sir. I have pictures nga cute na gid, sir, isang gamay pa lang.
Oh, well, kita na lang nga duha ang wala party list mo. Diba? And have you noticed sa Facebook, subong tanan may ara Facebook group?
Yes, sir.
At kung isa duha ka mo nga daw feeling yung may kausa ka mo, pwede ka mo may Facebook group. Ang na-notice ko, ang wala ng subong Facebook group, kita nga mga tambok. And ikaduha ang may barikos. Diba? Wala varicose party list group mo. No, but what I'm trying to say is that this is how fragmented we are on Facebook. Diba?
Yes, sir.
Jutay dako lang to. Sige, ikaw yung may ingrown ka, hindi kaya pareha sa akon. Ikaw yung tambok ka, hindi kaya pareha sa akon. That is how we operate nowadays.
I think, sir,
we have been chopped into,
yes, sir,
smaller and smaller groups.
As a masscom, sir, I could ma-explain ko, sir, ang what's happening in society. It's like a hybrid of cultivation theory and cognitive dissonance theory. For example, sir, kung ikaw ba lang nga tao, usually, sir, trend sa Facebook, di ba, sir, nga kung ka-stress ka sa isa ka post, sa isa ka page, block and get it away of your system. So, ang ginahimo ta, sir, is we are being succumbed sa algorithms ng Facebook nga ginapakita ng sa aton tanan nga gusto ta, and it's not giving us the other way around. So, I think gina-cultivate lang gid sir nga tsakto ta permi kaya mo na niya makita ta. Well,
Indeed.
in fact, there are still other sides of the story, and as a mass communicator,
in relation to that,
yes, sir,
kung hindi ko namian sa isa ka tao, may araman cancel culture.
yes, sir, cancel culture.
Nanamian ka na, hindi?
Not, sir.
Why so?
Kay sir, I am a fan of a lot of celebrities man bala, sir, kag often do sila gini, sir, usually ang target sa mga cancel culture, like gamay lang a post, they're gina-bash gid sila, sir. So pero sir, on the other hand, ang cancel culture are also giving us a message nga for those who have the influence, who have a lot of followers, dapat mindful man sila, sir, sang ila gina-post sa social media. Kay kisa, sir, hindi mo man mabasol ang mga ga-cancel culture, kay kisa, ang mga tao nga may influence, kag may power sa social media, wala magibala sir nila gina effectively kag correctly use ang ilang nga influence. But on the other hand sir, ang cancel culture do gina do wala na sabla sir gahatag chance or kag kahapos sa aton sir mag-judge without knowing the full context do kamo na ba sir, like for example ang example gito sir gito nagtawa gito sir ang bata nga nag-pull out siya cake sang iya nga birthday cake and it's full of 1,000 bills tapos her expression is gindim nila nga ungrateful, and then the people really bash the child on that context nga ka-ungrateful sa iya nga siya na kuno, but then na-realize may nag-rebut nga daw tita or relative nga gin-explain nga the child really was expecting her parents from abroad to be on her birthday, but to her surprise and disappointment, wala. And then dugin pilit na lang siya nga mag-celebrate for pictures kag amo tong reaction niya. So dito ko na-realize nga it's not very good nga to judge, like to jump into conclusion right away.
Kaya nga kabingit subong sang generation now. Jutay dako lang mga kig ka. Let's say maestro. I mean, ang ikwan nga nagka anxiety attack na, may problem na sa mental health. I really don't know, no? But then as you have said, we have our own generations that we grow up in.
Yes, sir.
And you have your own culture.
Yes, sir.
But makes me wonder, whether you like it or not, may ara to sang intergenerational relationships mo. Generations cross sa simbahan, sa mall, sa ulubrahan. And so, if one generation insists ngang iya lang yung culture is correct, how can we exist as a society?
Yeah, exactly, sir. As what I've said, gani, sir, nga we are products of our time and the world is dynamic. Diba, sir? Our principles change through time. So, we cannot just go with a single correct idea and action forever. Okay? Because it changes.
Sir Charles Gelotin, congratulations and thank you for the time.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving this opportunity as well.